someone made a comment on my video about these. They were like, well, you know, it's cool, but it's not the same thing versus the Submariner. They might not have phrased it like that, I'm not sure. It wasn't mean like, boo, Seiko sucks. And I was like, well, you know what? Well, you know what? I have a Rolex. Okay, so before we get into it, the way I'm going to do this is absolutely, completely non-scientific. It's going to be pretty much devoid of all numbers and hard statistics. The categories I'm going to make up on the spot, just like my opinions, and they're only applicable to me. So if you disagree with me, well, I don't know. I'm not gonna freak out about it. Let me put it that way. Everybody gets to figure out what they want. Now, to keep score in my, I don't know, in my little world, I have a box of jewels and 1 point to each, depending on what's going on. So let's see. Well, what can I do? I guess some background. The Marinemaster is a recreation or reinterpretation of the original Seiko 6215-7000, and then the later 6159/7000 or 7001. Came out in the year 2000 with a special limited edition, but then went straight into production. Some people have called it Seiko's last great diver. Not me, of course, because I didn't think of it. But I do have to say there might be something to that. This thing is, despite its, I don't know, it's sort of, it was considered kind of desk divery. And you know what? That's correct. However, this model is one of the only models it's the only model I've ever seen that someone lost at sea. So maybe I'll give it some credit. Okay, so let's start. So we talked about this in another video. 300 meters, hand winding, automatic winding, 28.8 for the BPH. It has unidirectional, 120 click. It hacks, monocoque solid stainless steel, so it's a front loader. As I showed in my other video, the crystals on these are held in a cartridge, which is a screw down, which then the cartridge itself is screwed into the watch. I'm still not sure what happened with that Hawaii watch. I still don't understand it. It looked like something ate through a line of impurity almost. Who knows? Solid link bracelet. Really, really nice, smooth finishing and these high polished touches. Seiko's casework has always been superlative. I mean, it really is one thing that Seiko has never stopped doing really well, and that's their casework. It's heavy. It's a heavy watch. Glows like a crazy person. There you are. Like Mr. Burns on a good night. It's very legible. Has a nice balance to the dial. I don't know, it's just pretty. It's got a particular balance to the dial versus the ring ratio, how much one is, taken from the other. It's kind of a Seiko thing, if you ask me. There's my Landmaster, and it does the same thing. You have a smaller dial, and then this, pretty cool thing, which, by the way, is what I'm going to be wearing now, because I had to give up my other watch for this. Okay, so let's do this for real. Here's the story of this watch. I had a brief infatuation with vintage Rolex, and I still do love it. but they came in and they went out. I would love to get my old one too back from the gentleman I sold it to. I loved that watch, you know, but I just didn't have a choice at the time. I had to let it go, and man, I wish I had kept that watch. So if the gentleman who bought my Rolex, please contact me. I would appreciate that. Thank you. So I bought a 16610, 3135 movement, modern loom, so it was absolutely readable. But other than that, it was a standard Rolex sub. And I sold it. There was something, I don't know, too new about it. I don't remember. I was going through stuff and moving out stuff that I thought I didn't want. And then I sold it, and I was like, damn. And like 2 years later, I read about this reference. This is the Rolex 168000. It's also called the 000. They were made briefly between 1987 and 1988. They are apparently one of the, if not the shortest production run of any Rolex model. It was due to, they wanted to jump to the whole new model, which would have been the new movement and the new steel. And I don't think that the movement was ready. So they kept the 3035 in this. And some of the, I believe the case moved to the 904L, whatever, it was harder. But I think the bracelet was the old standard standard stainless steel. Anyway, but I thought about it, and I was like, you know, I want one. I'm going to look for one that's very, very specific. I did a lot of research on them. And these, there's actually even a rarer subvariant of this subvariant, and I happen to have one. That's what this is. If you look at the S in Submariner, it looks like a Z. So these, that's the Z dial. The rest are the normal Submariners. It's a weird sub variation. And even better, when I found this one, it had all the boxes, it had everything that came with it, all original. It was bought in 1988 by a Mr. Cohen at a jewelry shop on the same street as the Pentagon. It's original bracelet. It has wear. It's been refinished. Clasp is pretty blurry. I think it took a pretty big whack right there, and then it was polished down to hide that, because while these both are thinner, this one's thinner yet. But still, it's in good shape. This, like that, is 28.8. So both are considered a high beat. They run at the same thing. Main difference is, no, there's many differences between them. To the degree that, you know, a watch is always a watch, these are, I mean, they're pretty comparable in output, but the way they achieve it is pretty different. Rolex movements are, they're old-fashioned. They really are. They're still built kind of like a pocket watch with indirect seconds, and it's just sort of, you know, big jewels, and it's old school. It's just an old school watch, not heavily more jeweled than any other watch. Best thing it's got going for it is it has a free sprung balance, which means there's no adjuster. You have the microstella, you know, weight adjusters that you have to adjust in and out on the balance, and you can dial it in to be really, really tight. This one, actually, it's short 4 seconds a day, and I've just been avoiding going into it. But anyway, so that's the thing, really. The 168000, it has this particular dial. It was the last Submariner that had tritium. So that is white gold frames and tritium. So it looks nice and creamy there, but it's dead. You can kind of see things sometimes, and that's a bit annoying to me, actually. I wish I could read it at night. I could probably read a book at night with this thing. Power reserves are pretty much the same, run pretty much the same. that's absolutely correct. That clock always rings like 2 minutes late. It just does. I think I don't know. Stylistically, they're two completely worlds, the different worlds. This is well, not old-fashioned, but it's kind of old-fashioned. The proportions are different. They're much more sort of graceful and, you know, slim on the dial, with a larger dial and thinner rotating ring insert. So you're concentrating on the dial, not as much as the rotating ring. Whereas Seiko really was like, okay, I wanna make sure that this dude knows that he has to pay attention to his dive bezel. It's a much more sort of brutalist design. Again, it's kind of dialed up to 11. If this had just been made with just a little bit of, just pulled back just a hair, it would have been a little less sort of beefy. But as it is, it's kind of got like a little bit of a, you know, burly, like, you know, Tony Soprano kind of thing going on. Not that it's flashy, but oh, this is also 160 click unidirectional. But like I was talking about it being old-fashioned, the case designs of these two watches are very, very different. This is a standard front and back screw down crown. This this rotating ring, again, it's really old-fashioned. Seiko has this magnificently machined, recessed thing inside the case to hold a circular stamped double spring with a rotating ring gasket to make it smooth. It's snapped in with interlocking ridges between the case and the rotating ring. Just, you know, and the double screw down for the crystal. The fact that the darn thing is hand loomed, I believe, the dial, and I could be wrong on that one, but I believe that's true. And you know, just the it's really superbly done. And these things were built by hand. Now, 1987. I don't know. I don't know that Rolex was. I don't know what their manufacturing was. I don't know if they had robots doing this stuff or if they had people toiling. I mean, for the most part, it's a conservative look. It's a conservative watch. Interesting to note, though, look at the dial texts. Who's trying to get their Submariner on? I wish they had gone with more like the original 6215 dial or the 6159, where it had the water 150 meter, 300 meter, and resist, and then like pretty much it was, you know, that's it. Very clean design. This is a little unbalanced, and it's quite clear that they did this after this. I'm not sure why they took that approach, but they did. Comfortable to wear. Definitely more elegant. I mean, you're not supposed to wear these with a tux, but under a suit, I think you might be able to get away with it, though that might be considered sort of, you know, déclassé. It's a great casual watch, especially an old one like this. It's just kind of, you know, just an old Rolex bumping around on the wrist. This thing is like, it's like the most toolish artisan built watch there is. It's like beautifully built with these lovely delicate details, and it's made to be oomphy. Oh my God, I never did my ratings. I never did my wins. Wow, well that sucks. Well, let's see if I can remember. Let's back it up here. Okay. So let's, I guess, start at the start. Rarity. Trying to get one. I keep getting two. I don't want two. Come over here. Put that there for when we get up. So, rarity. Absolutely 100% has to be this one. It's a very short run watch, and this is a small percentage of that very short run had the Z dial. So I'm definitely gonna say for rarity that one gets that. It's kind of hard to beat. Let's see, dial loom, tritium, which is dead. Beautiful, slightly creamy loom, which glows very well. Absolutely have to give that to our Marinemaster. Case finishing. I don't know. I gotta tell you, I mean, that Seiko's casework is exquisite. They really, really, really knew what they were doing, and they still do. It's beautiful. The one unfortunate thing about the 001 is that it did not get the DiaShield coating, so it's not as scratch resistant. These, when they were finished, oh, I want to talk about this. It's still Seiko's grammar of design, which was based on the watches looking almost faceted like jewels, with strong, clean lines like art built into it. This is more sort of it's more of I guess, a workaday watch. It was designed to be just a functional piece. The case is basically elegant, it's functional, it's, I don't know, it's almost Bauhausian in that it's limited to its purpose. So a very clean, solid, strong, time-tested design. Very straightforward, very simple. This is, to say it, it's more, I don't know, fancy, dressy, something like that. I don't know how I'm going to score this because I don't know what the criteria are. Well, they do two things for two different ways, but they both do what they do well. So you know what? I'm going to call that a tie. All right. Let's get one. Why does that one always want to get two? Okay, got two. So yeah, that was, oh wait. No, I got that wrong. That was the loom. Sorry, Rolex, you do not get your ruby jewel. Rotating ring just for functionality, just on design alone. I've got to give it to Seiko. There's no way it could be anything else. Rolex's ring, I mean, I'm sure, it works, obviously, but just in terms of design, functionality, durability, this one is just blows it away. People talk about scratching these inserts, and I suppose it's possible. I've owned 3 of these. I've never put a single mark on any of those inserts, but you know, your mileage may vary. So definitely give that one to here. Did I already give it to one? Oh, no, I need to put another one in. Right, could I not get one? Was that the issue? Okay, well, we're at 3-1 now, people. 3-1. Let's try and do that and see if we can get this so the light is better. All right. So we talked about the finishing. The finishing on this is just exquisite. There's no way to beat it. Crystal. They're both sapphire. Rolex's is flat. So when they moved from the old top hat acrylic crystal, which had a magnifier in it, and they moved to a flat crystal that is put into a high tension compression gasket made of some kind of plastic. But it's flat and it's very legible and very clean, easy to see, easy to read. And for those who don't much care for that thing, I have to say it makes it easier to read the date. But it's pretty utilitarian, just like the rest of the watch. It's there to do the thing. It's not there to do anything else. art, any art that happens is accidental. You know, it just goes. Again, this crystal is AR, and it's just beautifully finished. It has a heavy double dome, and so you see these multiple images go through as they hit the AR on the bottom, and the different curves and fractions of the light. Like everything else on this watch, it's a work of craft. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's just the way that it is. So got it. Movement. This is a high beat movement. It is 28.8. They're accurate, they're durable. They are based in large part on Seiko's 7000 series movements, which they've been making for 50 plus years, coming on 60 years. It's a tried and tested platform, as evidenced by the fact that Seiko continues to use it as a base and modify it successfully. They're robust, it's a good movement. And it has an adjuster arm on the balance, which means that you can adjust it pretty clean. Its accuracy, I've never gotten it really super tight. I mean, I've gotten really tight. This thing, you can dial in like ridiculously tight, but it's an amazing pain in the ass. So, well, not really. It's just you have to have the knowing of it, and it just takes forever. The movement, as I said, is old-fashioned. It's elegant. It's slow, but it's definitely antique technology. That thing has it beat. I mean, this is graceful and elegant, and, you know, just ties us to a time from, you know, before. This is really, really functional. I mean, they both are, but I think this movement's more robust. But I could be wrong, and again, this is only my opinion. So, movement, advantage, Marinemaster. Let's see. Clasp. Rolex is just a, you know, your usual fold-over clasp. Again, extremely utilitarian. Nothing fancy. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. No bells, no whistles. It looks like the watches that came before, and it looks like the watches that came after. A single product that just carries on and on and on. Consistency of the model. But that's another subject. This one, these are like the rest of the watch. It's sort of bulky, and this has this sort of has the diver extension, which I just found out has a pretty weak fatal flaw. This little thing right there, see those things? These break right there. That Marinemaster that was in the ocean in Hawaii, that's where it broke. The whole clasp opened up somehow, and it snapped right here. The same thing happened to my Landmaster. So I had to strip out that diver extension, which kind of annoyed me because I liked it. And the fact that this watch is almost unworn. It's or maybe I've just got bad luck. It's a new model. I mean, Seiko just doesn't make the same watch for ever and ever and ever. And it's one thing that Rolex does do. And they have, you know, basically lifetime support. Rolex will never turn down money to restore a watch. Seiko, they just don't, they're not interested. They don't want to service things for people. I mean, they will, and the high-end stuff, certainly, but they would just have you, you know, rather have you just buy another watch. And that sometimes can lead to decisions in terms of corner cutting, where you make decisions that really aren't going to affect you until you're a good number of years down the line, where it won't matter. So the watches will run beautifully for a time of 7 to 10 years, and then they'll need a service. And that, to them, though, they don't want to service it, they don't care. Rolex, absolutely, services and maintains their everything about them. They have a consistent product. Another thing, Seiko never keeps one model. They don't have a signature model. They've turned things over all the time. All the time. And so there's nothing like consistent. I mean, there's no flagship product. A Rolex Submariner, a Rolex Explorer, Rolex Paul Newman, all this different stuff. I mean, but they have been making this core model basically since forever. So consistency, well, I could say, yeah, no, consistency, legacy, consistency of design, and sort of legacy preservation interest. How about that? Value. Well, here's where things really get different. Rightly or wrongly, as we all know, Rolexes tend to be pretty expensive. Far more than they're truly worth. Honestly, just straight up honestly. If you're just looking at them as a watch and you're not looking at dollar signs. I've serviced a number of Rolexes and been able to compare them directly to their equivalent Seiko, and I'm sorry to say, in many cases, the Seiko was not just a little bit better, it was lots better. Lots better. Seiko's technology is great. Their designs are great and maintained. They're excellent watches, and the fact that they're made in-house, you know, that's important. Now that's another draw, by the way, because these are both made in-house. I dropped two there, so I'm going to steal one from here, put it over there. Again, I don't know if these are built by hand. They probably are, as are these. So that's another draw. Oh, did I get two again? Okay, you get that one, and that one goes over here. Man, I don't know what else to do. I mean, the weight is ridiculous. This thing, it takes time to get used to it. You have to choose to wear this watch. You have to get used to the weight. So this is far more comfortable. So let's do that. There you go. This is just elegant, easy to wear. They both have pierced lugs, so that's another wash. I mean, I know I could just not put in a jewel, but I like to kind of track how many things I've come in with. I don't know. Well, anyway, the last thing is price. You know, a Marinemaster, even one like this, what do they go for? What do they go for? I actually haven't checked. 2,500? I think that's what it is. This Rolex, you know, never mind the fact that it's a rare model, rare subvariant, I should say. They're just, the base price for Rolex Submariners is ridiculous because Rolex does all that work to create artificial scarcity. So it's a trick. It's a good watch. It's a good watch. I would not call it a watch that is worth what this watch is worth. 10 grand? 12? I don't know. It's a super rare variant, only made, I got 9 months between 87 and 88. There's so few of them. The cases are 16800 cases, and they add on a separate zero, and it's usually slightly misaligned, and that's correct. So rarity and value, you just, long term, there's just, in terms of looking at these as investment pieces, that's definitely Rolex. Availability, incredibly rare. Easy to find one of these, no problem. Pride of ownership. When I wear these watches, I don't know, I always like doing stuff that like isn't like everybody's doing it. So I like walking around with a watch that is such exquisite quality that nobody knows about. I know about it, and that's fine. This is one of only 2 watches I've ever owned where somebody noticed it and complimented me on the watch. So, you know, but sometimes I'm like, you know, Submariners, and you know, a lot of guys have them. But, you know, this one is mine. I think the prices are much more realistic, obviously, for this. This is artificially inflated, but, you know, I put those two categories together, so what are you going to do? So I guess the last one is going to be, yeah, no, easy to find, incredibly hard to find, valuable. Other than that, they're the same. Okay, if I think of another category, I will definitely insert that, but let's count our scores, shall we? Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 jewels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Seiko wins. There you go, my people. The criteria have spoken. The data has spoken. It's not really data. This is really all subjective. And obviously, since I own both, I like both. They're going to be best friends. I don't know. That's silly. Any case, thank you. Again, just my opinion. Feel free to disagree with me strenuously if you'd like in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. It helps our channel grow. We're just a little mom and pop business, and any additional exposure we can get, or, you know, reach, we would appreciate. So thank you. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.